Hey everyone, welcome to Tea and Chocolate. Today I have someone whom I've just recently encountered through Instagram of all things, and like many of us do. And her name is Theresa Callahan, who is a leadership coach. She is a retreat leader, an author, speaker, and entrepreneur. And today, Theresa and I are going to speak about the journey within ourselves and the things that she does as a professional. And her website is Managing for Performance. And the other offering is Retreat to Tuscany, which sounds amazing. And she takes a couple of years over to Tuscany, a couple of retreats over to Tuscany, Italy. And we're going to talk about that and how this all came to manifest for Theresa. So thank you so much for joining me today, Theresa.
Oh, it's nice to be here with you, Lauren.
Thank you. So how about if you begin, because I'm really curious. I read, about your solo journey. And yeah, I'm curious what unfolded there for you. What were your discoveries?
Yeah, gosh. So I had been to Tuscany for the first time in 2006, and I fell in love with the country. I fell in love with the people. And I was at a very difficult time in my life. I don't even think I knew it at the time, but my marriage was falling apart. I was struggling with some things going on in a corporate job that I had left, really trying to find myself and going through professional coach training. And, when you go through something like that, you got to come ready to be coached and learn how to coach. And I tell you what, I was actually going back and forth from Seattle to Vancouver, BC, and my heart just cracked wide open. And I had to start facing some truths about my life and what was coming next for me. And so while I was in Tuscany during that time, I don't know that I could fully appreciate all that was given to me there. It was such an incredible week with my family, my ex-husband and his family. And when we came back, I felt disappointed in myself that I didn't really take advantage of all that was there. And so I found myself for years saying, someday I'm going to go back to Tuscany. Someday I'm going to go back there, when I'm at a better place in my life and I can really appreciate it and enjoy it. And I found myself at an event, and a friend of mine, I was hosting this, helping support and host a friend of mine who was having her first big conference for a group of women. And so I'm holding the back of the room, and I watched her get up on the stage, and she said something to the effect of, what's that one thing that you keep hearing yourself say over and over again? Someday I'm going to do this, right? And the minute I heard her ask that question, tears stung my eyes and I just started weeping. I was standing in the back of the room and I felt like an idiot because here I am there to support her, right? Always hard in the back of the room. And I realized that that one thing, someday I'm going to return to Tuscany, it was just, pouring through every part of me. And I went home that night and I poured a big glass of wine and I sat down with my laptop. I started looking through my calendar, and because at the time I still had a high schooler, I was a single mom, I'd been a single mom at that point for almost 10 years. And I opened up the calendar and picked a date when I knew I could possibly get away, texted my ex-husband, if I do this, could, my son Wyatt be with you for this period of time? And, he said, yeah, we'll figure something out. Well, I bought a one-way ticket. And the minute I hit the send button, put my credit card information, again, the tears just started streaming down my face. And it was this journey, Lauren, like I knew I needed to go back as if I had left breadcrumbs there or something and had to go back and pick them up. It was that powerful for me. And so fast forward 6 months later, here I am sitting on a terrace in a little village called Sinalunga, overlooking the hills of Montepulciano. And I was journaling and I was writing. And I don't know, I think there's something about taking yourself halfway around the world and immersing yourself in a culture where you don't know the people very well, you don't speak the language, you're completely out of your element, that all of the chatter begins to quiet and you reconnect with yourself. And to be really honest, I think I was afraid of that. I think I never traveled alone by myself before. Even though I travel for business a lot, I'm not the person that used to ever be comfortable walking into a restaurant or a bar and having dinner with myself. Like I just felt uncomfortable being alone. And so this journey for me was a really big deal. And I had a lot to prove to myself. But what I found sitting there with myself, journaling and writing, is that my heart cracked open. I found forgiveness for myself, for others, discoveries that I was making that I think I just pushed away and hadn't really dealt with before. And it was very emotional, but it was a receiving, it was a knowing, it was this practice of just being and not striving, because I'm a big striver. I've always got stuff to do. I got shit on my calendar. I pack it up, and that to me is an art, learning to just be. I will probably work on that for the rest of my life. But as I sat there and journaled and wrote to myself, I somehow got brave enough to post a couple of discoveries that I was making and things that I was feeling. And all of a sudden, Lauren, I started getting all these responses and private messages and emails from people that I was connected with on Facebook in particular. And some people I was acquainted with, some were dear friends, some were family members, some were colleagues. And they were all women saying, I've always wanted to take a journey like that. I've always wanted to go by myself to Tuscany. Yeah. Do you think you'll go back? If you do go back, would you take me? Someone said, why don't you have a retreat? And I sat there and I'm like, well, what the hell? I design and facilitate and host retreats and programs all over the country all the time for my clients. Why not Tuscany? And why not take a group of women to share with them all that I'm going through? So I went back and I literally hand selected and reached back to some women who had expressed some interest and said, are you serious about this? Because I'm designing a program and I'd love to take you with me. And I went back that fall. I rented the villa, I found the villa. I put my team together, my chef, my tour guide, the driving service. I really built this yoga instructor. I built my team and took my first group of women there in May of 2018. Wow. And there were 12 of us. And we kind of, hit it out of the park. Like I had no idea how emotional and how overcome these women would be. This little village where I host the events it's about a 900-year-old medieval village in the southern hills of Tuscany.
Oh God.
This villa that we stay in is a 500-year-old villa. And it truly feels like you've just stepped back in time. It's magical. I use this word all the time. People don't get it. They actually go there and arrive there with me.
Yeah.
And many of the people in the village don't speak English. Things are very simpler way of life, slower pace of life, which can be very uncomfortable again for some people. But by the second day in, everyone's over their jet lag and we gather around the table. And in the evenings, I have this beautiful heart-shaped rock and we pass the rock and we share. Was there a breakthrough? Where's there a discovery? And I'm learning that we've all got this unique work to do, and creating a platform to help women do that is really, really special for me. So my journey's been interesting. I continue to be fascinated by, you found us. I know I've had an amazing assistant who is my partner on retreat, who manages our Instagram account. And she's just phenomenal at sharing our stories, sharing pictures and videos. I'm fascinated by what this is becoming, but it truly is becoming a tribe of incredible women who are brave, who are courageous, who are seeking something. And many of them are in some form or transition of their life where they want that thing that's next. And if we can create a platform to allow them to travel solo, but also arrive with the safety of this group of women, it's pretty unique. And
you sound like you had a real deep soul calling.
Yeah.
I
don't think so. And acceptance.
Yeah. There's something
connection. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was just going to, sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say that there's something to be said about, once you make a decision about something and then the tears start flowing.
Yeah.
We hold on to so many things, and yeah, it's quite remarkable, really. It's quite a gift to give yourself, the time to do that. And I'm wondering if we've really moved away from things that we need to do more often. Not necessarily go to Tuscany, but at the very least, take ourselves somewhere to let go of, as you're transitioning into something.
Yeah. Well, just being alone. I think
Yeah.
for a lot of us, it's really scary to be alone with our own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got noise around us and we've got things coming at us, and we are women, excuse me,
Yeah.
we're running businesses, we're raising families, we're, serving our employer. Perhaps we are trying to build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We're parenting, we're wearing all these hats, we're being pulled in so many directions. And what I've learned is that it's so easy to lose connection with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the women who find me, who find this program, the one common element we all have is that we are masterful at giving everything we have to everyone else in our life, but somehow we've neglected our own self-care. And I write about this. I don't know where, as women, we learned that self-care is selfish.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Does it resonate for you?
Well, that's, yeah. I mean, I think I can say that in the Italian upbringing, I think in all cultures, it's like that. But I know that in my experience, I don't have children. So it's not like I'm bouncing from one thing to another in that sense, like, in terms of parenting, to add to the list. But certainly in this idea of self-pleasure in so many different ways is perceived to be as selfish.
Yeah.
And I just think,
I don't think it's just the women that struggle with this. Men in my life,
yeah,
clients
sure,
that I
got their own.
serve,
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients, small business owners who are men, and I know they struggle with this sense of balance and service to all the people in their life as well. And somehow it's just easier. I have a lot of women who will say, it's so easy for my husband to say, just go golf for the day on Sunday, or I'm taking this trip, or I'm going to do this, or I'm away for work, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow maybe we learn this in our families. Maybe we learn this from our mothers. I don't know, but
yeah, I guess it's a generational thing in family systems. Do you get into any of that in terms of, understanding our family, the families? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We are all a product of where we come from and the experiences that we have had since children, right? And I've come to believe that what gets us in trouble is when we start compartmentalizing these elements of our life. You are one whole person. Everything you've experienced, everything you've been through helps you arrive at where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we have to honor those things and understand those things. Those conversations are often brought to the table. And I've watched women in particular really work through some stuff that they've been carrying around with them for years, and to sit at the table and be supported by this amazing group of women who will help you unpack some of this stuff and maybe leave it behind. I can promise you, I've left some stuff in Tuscany. I've left some stuff. I put it in a box. I maybe kicked it over into the valley. I've definitely had some breakthroughs and some awakenings and some discoveries that changed me. I'm not the same person I was. And every time I go and witness this in others, I realize the power of being true to yourself, being honest with having that talk with yourself first, and then finding courage. I use that word a lot because I think it takes a lot of courage to take yourself halfway around the world and live in this villa with a bunch of women that you don't know very well, right? For a week. Like, that takes courage right there. That's what I call edge work. And for a lot of people, that's very difficult. But if you can create a safe space where people are able to unfold and start connecting these pieces of themselves that, help them arrive where they are. And rather than resent it or be angry about it or let it hold you back, it's like, let it go, let that shit go. We had a burning ceremony one night. My yoga instructor did this for us, where she had this can and we had this little heart-shaped sticky note that said, let that shit go. And we were all writing stuff down on pieces of paper and we were crying and we were laughing. And it's like, yeah, that's a good one. And they were, and it's like very symbolic to all the stuff we carry with us.
Yeah.
I have an assistant, another woman, she's actually my stylist, and she went on retreat with me. And she talks about, underpacking and building a wardrobe capsule. And I've realized so many of these women come with these big, heavy suitcases, and that's a long road up those big, steep stairs to get to the second floor where your room is, right? And so, it's also symbolic, like, how freeing to throw a backpack on or a light roller and buy beautiful little things while you're there, buy layers and pack simply. And we actually do a little mini workshop in preparation for retreat on teaching you how to build a wardrobe capsule, teaching you how to just take a few separate things, because it weighs us down and it prevents us from having the experience of a lifetime that we really want to have. Stuff from our past weighs us down too. And so learning to let go of that is really important part of the process.
Yeah. What I was going to ask you about that, the process for you to gather these women together prior to you going, because it seems like it's a very well thought out plan. This is where your professional hat comes in.
Yeah.
And you're interviewed, right? You're going through like it's a process.
Yes.
Beforehand. Can you describe that for me?
Yeah, thank you. I definitely would call it a process. And from the very beginning, when someone is interested, there is an application online, and it's actually a coaching exercise. And some of the questions, things I've learned from working with my executive coaches over the years, things I've learned being part of a retreat, it takes some introspective time, and it can be very emotional for someone just filling out the questions in the application, because it's about a deep discovery. Why? What resonates in this for you? Why do you want to do this? Right? And are you able to arrive with an open heart to receive? And are you willing to give? Right? This isn't just about taking a trip to Tuscany. I have friends that do tours. This is not that. And so I go through the process of hopefully attracting the right women. And most of the time we get it right. It takes a lot of courage. I've had women reach out and say, Theresa, I've been following you on Instagram for a year. I've been looking at your website for a year. And I think, wow, you never know who's watching, right? You never know who you're influencing. But if we can influence someone to do something they've never done before, and reach out to a stranger and say, I'm thinking I might want to do this. What's really cool is some of the women will, when we finally talk, they fill out an application. I get it. I'll respond in email and we'll invite them to a meeting just like this on Zoom. I want to get to know you. I want to know your story and what resonated in this for you. Why do you want to go with me to this little medieval village in southern Tuscany? Like, tell me about this. I'm fascinatingly curious, right? So we'll spend a good hour just getting to know one another on Zoom like this. And if I think it's a good fit, I'll talk with my assistant. If we think it's a good fit, we ask you to pay a $500 deposit, and then you select your room in the villa. I'll let you know which rooms are left. So you really start, getting integrated. And I've had women who will prepay the entire event 1 year in advance to hold their spot. And happily, if I think it's a good fit, I will happily take that, money and put it in, care, and, we'll prepare together. But 3 months before the actual retreat, so our spring event is happening in May, I will be closing registration. We only have a couple spots left. And I love this group is just yummy and excited, and all so excited after putting their lives on hold to go to Tuscany in May. So we will start group coaching this month. We'll have a 90-minute event in February, another one in March, and another one in April. And then we'll do a little check-in and touch base, but we'll do coaching exercises. The first one really is an introduction. What's going to make this an amazing experience for you? And why did you say yes to yourself and retreat to Tuscany? And we'll spend a good hour just making introductions and telling our story. So the group starts to connect. they start to see some parallel stories and things are resonating. Then we'll have some fun, like we'll do a little Italian lessons, or we'll talk about, food, and we have an in-house chef and we'll start building the menu together. A lot of questions right now are about travel. What are the requirements for travel? How can I prepare? Some women have never been outside the country, Lauren. So for
Wow.
me, I take this seriously. I have a team
Yeah.
of support and people who can help with travel advice. I know the ins and outs of travel insurance, registering with COVID tests. Like there's just it's complex now. There's a lot of things we got to jump through that we never did before. So coaching them through that process just takes a little time. So we'll do that. Next month, we'll do a coaching exercise as a group on a balance. And I will have everyone do an exercise called the Wheel of Life, and they share their wheel and where the highs and lows are showing up in these different categories and elements of their life. And to me, it's an opportunity to start setting intentions for change that you want to make in your life. And maybe this retreat program will help you with some of those changes, setting intentions. And we will write down commitments that we want to make, and take with us when we go to a retreat. The women in the May group haven't gotten this yet from me, but I also send out 3 months before we travel, a little bag that will have a leather journal, some little goodies and surprises that will be in there, and also an opportunity to write a letter to yourself, a letter to your future self. So we write the letter now, and when they arrive in the villa, they receive the letter that they wrote to themselves. And it's all about intentions. There's instructions for how to write this letter. We do another coaching exercise a month before we leave on your inner ally, this inner champion that compelled you to say yes. And we personify it and we give it a name. And we have a lot of fun with some of these exercises. As the women are sharing, they're learning a lot about each other, and they're really setting intentions so we can leverage our time together and they can leverage their time with themselves while they're there. That's the purpose of the coaching exercises. So these are things I've done in my life. These exercises, Lauren, are things that really helped me connect with myself. And it's not easy. It takes courage. But when these women show up and share with one another, it's another layer of support and insulation of this group. So by the time they arrive at the villa, we're there to greet them. We'll have an Aperol Spritz, so we'll have some yummy Chef Noor's in the kitchen. It smells wonderful. We're there to greet them. And when women hug and connect in person, it is so special because they kind of feel like they're with their family. Like we kind of got to know each other. We finally get to meet in person. So that first evening is all about settling in and setting intentions for the week and getting a really good night's sleep. And to me, these are all coaching exercises that we do to really prepare.
Right. What do you think the value of sitting with others in when you're sharing such personal and vulnerable things that have either happened to you, and what do you think the value of sharing with strangers is?
I feel like a lot of us at times feel very isolated and lonely in things that we go through. And I tell you what, right now, after this pandemic, I think all of us have experienced mental health challenges, issues.
Absolutely.
We haven't been affected by it personally. We know we're very close to it. Family members, friends, clients. Even though I'm a business coach and I talk to a lot of my clients about leadership and building high performing teams, and the exercises that we do are there to design getting the right butts in the right chairs and leveraging the talent on the team. Most of my conversations this past year have been around the people stuff and the challenges that we're all facing, working remote, staying connected, achieving our goals, really feeling stuck. And so to me, when we gather people, whether it's virtually or in person, there's something special about gathering and creating a safe platform for people to share that makes you realize, wow, I'm not alone.
Right.
I'm not the only one who struggles with that thing. I'm not the only one who's challenged by this relationship. I'm not the only one who feels lost and discontent in my career. I'm not the only one who lost my sense of self, raising my family and running around and, reacting to everything that's going on in my life for the past 20 years. Right. And so when we say it out loud, there's something about first of all, wow, that felt good. I just said it out loud. And then there's something also about acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
The power of
Yeah.
acknowledgement is
Yeah.
transformational. And when you say something out loud that you've been keeping in your head or holding in your heart for a long time, and someone looks at you and says, well, of course you feel that way. Well, what's that like for you? Like, let's unfold that more. And it's like, okay, it's not weird that I just said that. People aren't running away from me, they're running toward me. You realize you're not alone.
Right.
I think we all need to know that. We all need to know that we're not alone.
I can appreciate from where you sit at receiving all these stories, that we're all storytellers, and how rich that experience would be for the whole week.
Yeah. It's overwhelming. I
Yeah.
am flooded with emotion
Uh-huh.
from the moment I awake until the moment I rest my eyes. And sometimes it's hard to fall asleep. And it's interesting because at the end of the week, I am emotionally exhausted. And I've realized it's because, and my assistant's the same way. We kind of giggle and laugh and do nothing for a day if we can, because you're holding space for others to do their work.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, stuff's coming up for yourself. Like you can't help it. We're all human beings. We all have stories and experiences. And I'm just so moved. And for me, it's been the courage of going first, talking to you, telling my story.
Right.
I had a coach say to me a couple of years ago, it was sort of this epiphany. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get this, but she said, because I was telling my story and it was just like the flowery parts of it, and then I started telling her about this moment sitting on the terrace and I'm just like, can't get through my story. And she said, Theresa, the people aren't drawn to you because of your successes and your accomplishments and the things that you have done. They're drawn to you because of the challenges that you have faced and how you've overcome them. And the messiness and the muck of it all. Like, that's what people are attracted to. And how did you do it? And when she said that to me, there was this sort of lightness and acceptance in myself that I don't need to try to be anything I'm not. I am who I am. I've been through my stuff. I'm still going through stuff. I always will, right? Till I fall over. I created a lot of it, right? And so part of it is just the acceptance of, we're all just fumbling through this thing called life. The people in my life that I'm closest to definitely are strivers to be the best that they can be in every element of their life and in their relationships and make a difference, make an impact. Legacy shows up over and over with my clients and the kind of people I attract. And we want to know we made a difference. At the end of the day, I really believe that all of us want to know that we made a difference in someone else's life. Maybe it's validation for what we do. I don't know. I mean, look what you do in sharing stories and what you've created, right? I think there's a natural essence of wanting to make a difference and support and care for. And
I think you nailed it for sure. I think that that is imperative. And I hope that this world continues to understand that value.
Yeah.
And I don't want that value just to disappear.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit complex at the moment. But you're right. I mean, I was going to ask you about, the legacy, what sort of legacy you want to leave behind.
That's a good question. Sorry.
That's okay.
I think it's
go for it.
Yeah.
go for the tears.
Work, right? I mean, what we do is a lot of work. It's a lot of matching the right people together to have the right experience. And wow, this is a zinger. I think if I can help someone get through a challenging time in their life or a transitional time in their life, if I can, this is a big one for me. It's women supporting women. If I can connect one amazing person to another amazing person, and together they are elevated to whatever is next in their life. I have two women that just put together a program, and in Seattle, and they worked together and invited a couple of other people to help them host, and invited some of retreat members. And this woman writes to me and says, it's so wonderful to be surrounded by other RTT members, Retreat to Tuscany members. Like, these women are championing each other.
Right.
And I feel like for me, that's the legacy. If I can walk that walk and I can help facilitate bringing incredible women together, the right women who will elevate and support and champion one another, I've realized that some of us don't have anyone else in our lives that do that exquisitely for us.
Mm. Yeah, that it's quite precious, isn't it?
It is it's such a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I say this to the women I work with, and I say this when I arrive there, and I really feel it. I am so honored to be able to do this work and watch the transformation that some people go through. I see it with my clients. It's kind of like being, like a mom or something. I don't know. I had a client the other night who was on his way home from work, and he stopped at the gas station, and he just had to talk through this issue he's having with a new hire. He's really challenging. Am I going to keep this guy? I don't know. What do you think? And I just love that my clients feel safe enough and comfortable enough to call me whenever they want or reach out to me because they're feeling stuck and they just want to talk through something.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a privilege. It's taken years for me to feel comfortable enough and safe enough in my own skin. And I think it shines through to the people in my life who I serve that,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we're all figuring this stuff out as we go. Let's do it together. Let's roll up our sleeves and do it together. And so going to retreat is playful. It's fun. We have this amazing curated week. We giggle, we drink wine, we dance. I had one event where ABBA was the theme music for the week. And the ladies, one night I walk in the kitchen, and it was after dinner, and they were marching around the island in the kitchen, singing ABBA music into these utensils. It's just like, it became a dance party. Like, it was, I thought, boy, if the owner of the Zilla could see this, I don't know what she'd think. It was hilarious. And it was like, how many times you just get to let your hair down and have a good time? We had another night in another group. This friend of mine went on retreat. We do work together. We facilitate. She's kind of serious. She's written books. She's very, very, very brilliant, intelligent woman. She fell in love with these red Italian leather boots when we went to market one day. And she put on these red boots, so kind of unlike her. We ended up having a karaoke night with a British artist at Jean-Lucas's restaurant. It was this impromptu. He brings out the strobe light, and it's just us. There's like 12 of us. We have karaoke night together, and in comes, Marilyn with her red boots on dancing, and the locals are coming by like, what's going on in here? And so now the village knows who we are. They anticipate us. They welcome us. We spend time shopping and hanging out with them. I think there's about 700 residents in this little village, that are permanent residents. It tells you how small it is, but they're like family to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe the legacy in this is these women came. Theresa brings the right women here. Mm-hmm. They love us. They go home. These women go home feeling like they have family and friends in our little village. They stay connected to them through social media, through email. I have one woman who's getting ready to retire. And she went on retreat with me 3 years ago, and she's going to go back to Montesi and live for about a month and write. Theresa, that whole experience changed me.
It's like, oh my God, it's my dream. I might be on your retreat.
I hope you do. But it's like, we did this. We did something really good.
It sounds like
I never go back, right? I'll be back lots of times. But if I never did, I feel like we started a movement of some kind, and I'm really proud of it.
I think about the land there. And I'm wondering if the land itself, when you're there, is, and there's special places all over the world. That's not, but you've chosen Tuscany. Your heart and your spirit is drawn to that place, and and I'm wondering if you feel that the land there as well is something that holds you all together.
Oh, yeah. And I will tell you that I've sat in Sylvia's backyard looking out over the Tuscan hills. I've sat in the back patio of our villa, and I have been so moved and overcome by the peace in my heart and in my soul,
Mhm.
I do believe the land is magical. Um, I do believe that it does take sometimes just really quieting all that chatter. And
Mhm.
like I said, being alone with yourself, and those hills speak to me. And May is such a magical time,
Really.
it's green everywhere. There's red poppies sprinkled in the fields everywhere you go through the rolling hills of Tuscany. And I've had moments with myself and with others in the car who gasp, and I probably drive them crazy. I will pull over and have to take a picture because I'm so moved. Like everywhere you go looks like a postcard. And people say this all the time, but it's true. There's no more magical, beautiful, peaceful place for me. I mean, I grew up in Montana and I'm surrounded by beauty and nature, and it is absolutely stunning here. My soul is in the mountains, right? I
Yeah.
belong in the mountains, but I go there and my soul also is just content. And I feel like it's something about that land that spoke to me and speaks to many people
Mm.
that allows you to be still and really connect with yourself in a way that you haven't. And it's moving. And the people there love it too. They're not like going anywhere. If you ever meet somebody from Tuscany, they'd be like, why would I live anywhere else? Right? Why would I do that?
All right.
I come visit you, but I'm going to go home, and
Yeah.
it's pretty special.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. What does it say to you as a coach and just as a human being that walks on this land, the value of truth? If we, here we are, you're a mother, you're raising your son, and I don't know, like that's what we're kind of dealing with right now is the truth, of who we are as people, what we see in the media, what gets canceled out, how we can show up to
Mhm.
be ourselves. So what does that say to you when you see all these women in front of you unraveling their truth? Does it mean that we can't walk through life authentically? I mean, this is the question I have. It's like, no, 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 don't do that because, you're going to shake things up, right?
Yeah.
If you don't really speak your truth. And we need to use our voices. We've been given them for a reason. So what do you think?
Yeah. I have to say it's the hard, maybe one of the hardest things we do and one of the most important things we do in this journey.
Mhm.
And until I was able and willing to face my own truth,
Right.
I talk about forgiveness, in maybe the blog that you wrote, one of the biggest breakthroughs I had, I found a lot of forgiveness for myself,
Mhm.
choices I'd made or things I had done, or, you name it. Right. And part of it is just, this is part of the journey,
Mhm.
and it hurt and it changed me. And,
Mhm.
um, speaking my truth, this is the leadership element. This is where, people say, what does this have to do with leadership? Well, you are the leader of your life. You're the leader in your family. Often
Mhm.
women are the leaders in their family, in terms of making decisions, get stuff done, right?
Yeah.
And so you are the leader of your own life. And if you don't stand up for yourself, who will?
Yeah. Do you think you
It's a
teach
lot
that?
of courage. So that truth telling piece, to me,
Yeah.
that's courage.
Yeah. Do you feel that when you encounter these women, or even in, your business, in your professional life, is that in some way we've moved away from not being the leaders in our lives?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a story we tell ourselves.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
not having the courage to speak up. I mean, I meet women all the time who stay in a job way too long, stay in a relationship way too long, stay in a marriage way too long,
Mhm.
stay out of shape way too long.
Uh-huh.
And I've come to believe those
Yeah.
are choices that you're making.
Right.
And so, is that okay for you? And maybe we all have to reach a point where it's like, enough is a freaking enough. I'm done.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
done. And for me, when I heard this, someday I'm going to go back to Tuscany, someday I'm going to do,
Yeah.
who the heck are you? Like, shut up. I got tired of hearing myself say this someday. And that's why my friend asked that question at her event. What's that one thing that you keep saying, someday I'm going to do this? Like, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is your one precious life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't find the truth in yourself and find the courage to do the things that you know you need to do to live that full life, I mean, for myself, learning as a coach, I found myself in coach training years ago using words like authentic and genuine and courage. And then I would look at myself in the mirror and feel like a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a very unhealthy marriage, a marriage that was holding us both back.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a career where I was absolutely at a crossroads and not honoring myself as a mom with young children, flying off and leaving all the time, like feeling guilty all the time. I had so many things that were out of resonance in my life. I had a severe panic attack. Luckily, it was with she's actually the girlfriend of mine, my assistant in my retreat program. I happened to be at her house visiting for work. And I had this severe panic attack where half of my body became paralyzed. And I said, I'm having a heart attack. You need to call 911. She said, I think you're having a panic attack, but okay. So she takes me back. I'm laying in her bed, and these firefighters come running through. It was like the medic crew came in, and half my body was contorted and up in the air. And this cute firefighter looks down at me and goes, do you have some stress in your life? Are you going through a lot of stress and strain right now? And she starts laughing. She's standing across the room and starts laughing. And I'm like, oh my God. And she says, ma'am, I'm really sorry. You got yourself into this. You're going to have to get yourself out. I need you to breathe. I wanted to slap him or punch him or something, but I couldn't move my arm. I was literally paralyzed on the left side of my body. Yeah. But that was the beginning for me, Lauren, of making some really big shifts in my life and trying to find the courage to live more in alignment. And I hate that I went through those things. I hate that I looked in the mirror and thought I was dying and having a heart attack in that moment, but it was kind of the slap of reality that maybe I needed, mm-hmm. that I was not living my truth.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of freaking work, mm-hmm. to be something that you're not, or stay in a situation that's really not serving you well. I think it wears us out. I have a Run Retreat member who believes that she gave herself cancer because of the strain and stress she put on her body over many, many years, and a relationship and a career. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And I can't argue with her.
Right. Here's something that I've noticed a lot of is when we describe sometimes ourselves, when retreat leaders or when we see it like a marketing of some sort, we say strong women. And I want to specifically speak the word like strong. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if like when you don't use that word in front of it or in mm-hmm. front of the word women, are we suggesting that we're not, it's this sort of this continuous validation that we need to say strong women, because we don't really say strong men.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Are you asking, does it turn somebody off maybe if they see that?
No, it's just something that I notice with, when you're on the computer and you see like a nice poem or whatever it is, they'll say strong women,
Yeah. Okay. So someone like me is really drawn to that. And I want to know, why are you strong? What is it about you? Like, it might intrigue me, perhaps.
Yeah.
It doesn't scare me because I guess from my perspective is I'm curious about that word, and everyone's definition of that is probably a little different.
Well said.
Yeah. Right. And so I guess my definition of that would be someone who has courage, someone who stands up for themselves. Those funny magnets, and, we've been seeing these for years, I'm not bossy. I just have better ideas. I've been called bossy in my life plenty of times.
It's right? Hilarious.
And to me, bossy is, I have a voice and I'm using it. Is there a problem with that? Right? If we don't speak up for ourselves and we don't say our truth, then what's the opposite of that?
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't want to be that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
know that much, right?
Well, that's interesting because, we have all these conditionings, right?
Yeah.
And so when here I am, I'm first meeting you and I hear your voice. You have a strong voice. You have a strong presence, right? And so someone who's a lot quieter, I'm not necessarily going to think that they're strong. Now, that's kind of like an awful thing to say, but my wisdom, my wise self
Same.
knows that that's not true. So, it's just something I've been, like looking at how women are perceived today in 2022. Yeah, like just how we've evolved, or it's just something that I've been observing a lot
Yeah.
about.
I think we'd all like to think we're strong, right? If
Mhm.
someone describe yourself, most people I know would like to think they are strong or can be strong, right? If they made that choice, which can be scary for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially if we've been living in the shadow of someone else, or
Yeah.
didn't grow up in an environment where it was okay to speak up. It could be perceived as pushy or negative,
Mhm.
but strength is something that comes from within. In my experience, I definitely can't go lift certain things or what. I go to start going to Orange Theory once in a while. And I joke with the desk when I walk in and go, I didn't die today. I'm not that strong. I'm not that tough, physically, sometimes I might think I am, but I believe strength really is something that comes from within, because the power of the mind is pretty phenomenal. And when you tell yourself you're going to do something, and then you take that extra step to actually write it down. This is the power of journaling. I'm
Mhm.
not a huge journaler. I've learned the journaling is part of I have a relationship with my journals, and they're my accountability tools. They
Mhm.
help me work through some stuff. And I have different journals for different things. And part of it is just, speaking your truth. And that's the strength. Find the strength from within, and then decide. It's a personal thing.
Yeah. It sounds like the retreat is a place where everything is welcome,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, that everything that makes us human.
Yeah.
Seems like you hold the space for all of that.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I hope so. However, I
Yeah,
know
sounds like
part of
it.
what's not welcome is someone who's closed off and not willing to
Sure.
give,
Right.
someone who's
Yeah.
closed off and not willing to open their heart and receive, which is hard. We do that together, right? For some of us, it's very difficult to receive.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been conditioned very well
Mm-hmm.
to receive. And so part of it is this practicing for me to hold space and serve and give to you. I believe that's part of the process that's helped us too in the pre-event coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we get to know one another, that I'm tough and I am strong. And my sister, she's freaking my MacGyver. She gets shit done. Right? Like, we're strong women. We're very different in some ways, but we're very strong and we do a good job of holding space for
Yeah.
you, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope there will always be a feeling of acceptance and a feeling of um, safety.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it sounds like you create an opportunity.
Thank you. I hope
Yeah.
so. I believe so far it's working. We're already putting dates out for 2023, and
Oh, you are.
I'm fascinated by what's unfolding right now. Like I said, I feel so honored. Women are interested in this. There is a following, a tribe that we're building. I had one reunion event with the first 4 groups, and I'll probably do something like this similar next year for the first 7 or 8 events now that we will have had. And it's pretty cool to see women who don't know each other and they didn't travel together. They're in a different cohort or a different group, but we have this special magical place in common, and these experiences and relationships with people halfway around the world in common that ties us together. And that's a really, really special privilege, I feel, that I can keep unfolding and be curious about as the years go on.
Yeah. I really think that once we kind of move forward and away from kind of the situations that we are. I think people have a yearning and a thirst. I mean, not even so much but to travel, but to be in a particular, to have an opportunity like this, because they've been held within. We've all have, our own experiences, our own unique the past couple of years. So I really think there's going to be a massive unfolding that's going on, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Well, people are tired of putting their lives on hold. And I feel like 2022, what I've seen is people are booking trips. People are ready to go. We're tired of what ifs, and their fear is gone. Like, it's like, I'm over it.
Let's go.
I'm kind of glad, I think we've learned a lot. We're curious about, we've never experienced anything like, we have nothing to compare this to in our lifetimes. We've never experienced anything like this. And so what will be heartbreaking is that we don't learn from it. Like, what have you learned? Like, everyone I know in my life, and you probably feel the same, and find the same, everyone I know is reevaluating every element of their life. And I believe that's good.
Yeah, that's true.
Letting go of things or people or relationships or jobs or whatever that are holding you back. And this is your precious life, your opportunity. And so live it. And I think it's going to all be amped up. And I'm really, really excited to take. I've got actually 4 groups that I'm hosting this year. I've got 3 in May and 1 in the fall so far. I may add another group event, but I've got taken my first group of couples to Tuscany in May as well, and a group of wine club members from Genoa Cellars. I know the winemakers at Genoa and have been working with them kind of virtually and on site over the years. Love their wine. They specialize in super Tuscan blends. And so to be able to take 18 of their wine club members to 6 different winemakers and have our in-house chef, it's going to be a blast. I've never done this before. It's our inaugural event, but I'm hearing some chatter about, well, when are we going next year? So maybe this will be an annual event for men and women. So more on that to come. I'm excited.
Well, congratulations, Theresa.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, many blessings to you and all the women of the RTT family.
Yeah, thank you.
Both who come abroad and also to our Italian.
Italiano, sì.
Le donne d'Italia. And many blessings to all your friends in Italy as well.
Yes, thank you. They have been through a lot. In fact, just this morning, I got an email from Ilaria, who runs a winery. It's a cave that's been renovated, and she's got a little restaurant bistro and a winery right in our little village. And I've only had 1 group that's met her so far, but she's creating a retreat to Tuscany wine club for us, so we can have some hand-selected wines shipped directly to us in the States. And so that's kind of a new dimension we're adding. And I'm excited to see what happens with this, to be able to keep our retreat members connected, even if they can't go back, is a really important part for me, to support them and take care of our little village, even when we're away.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Theresa.
Grazie mille, Lauren.
Grazie a te.
This has been really fun. I love talking about this whole experience, and I hope, I hope you're ready to say yes soon. Go with me.
So everyone, welcome. Theresa can be reached at retreattotuscany.com or managingforperformance.com. So if you want to check that out too. And thank you for joining me at Tea and Chocolate, and we'll see you next time. Take care.